Just really quick, let's get a pulse check of the room. Let's see, does anyone feel like they need more leads today? The counter's down to 87. Does anyone feel like they have more than enough? The counter's full, they don't have to worry about leads. Is anyone somewhere in the middle? You got a few, but you need a couple more. Is anyone geared just to write off a trip to Disney World? Just check. So for today's mission, I have a very simple mission for the next 30 minutes. I want to show you guys the exact strategies that we use to double contractors' revenue. I'm not the operations guy. There's going to be lots of good sessions on operations and profit. Right now, I just want to talk about revenue.
Forrest, will you introduce yourself?
Oh yeah, sorry, I'm Forrest with Dunzo. We just recently merged. I had an agency. We're going to get back into that a little bit here. And I had an agency. We merged with Dunzo on January 1st. And so I take it over as CEO for Dunzo. And so I want to come out, meet you guys, and teach you a little bit about some of the stuff that I'm bringing to the table, and some of my experience, some of the strategies we use so that we can crush your market each year. Yeah, so this is what we're covering today is how one contractor got 327 leads in the last 2 months. This is what his ads look like. We're going to go over a couple different concepts about how those ads were built, like the concept underpaying them you can use for all marketing, but what we use for these did really well. And then I think you guys are going to be doing some recording sessions later on, so I'm going to go over some best practices for that so you guys can crush that. And then if we have time, I want to go over the front end math. So basically how all the different stages of your pipeline are really just a math problem, and we can dial those in. Is it okay if I give you a little bit of background on me, just so you know where this stuff is coming from?
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool. So I started my agency back in 2012. I was a little young, didn't know what I was doing, didn't go too far. Did some time in the financial services space, and then opened the agency we just merged with Dunzo back in 2019. In 2023, I started buying home services businesses, and so in the last 2 years, I participated in 7 home service acquisitions. My job is always to bring in the leads, and so we were able to use the agency as the marketing department and grow these. Because of the leads we were able to generate those, we were able to take 4 of them past the $1 million revenue mark. And most recently, one of them we took to 120,000 in sales in the last 5 months. So we started in September, and last month we did 120K. And so basically taking what I learned in those to you guys to help you get similar results. And so this is, I'm going to show you what one of our clients, James, did. He's also a concrete coder. He's actually a big fan of Brandon's. He's aware of you guys. He's a fan. And so he was excited when I was going to share his story. He just started his business last year. He's a first-time business owner. He's a firefighter who is looking to retire and into a business that he could run. And so he was a little bit nervous to get on the camera, but we worked with him, and he's the kind of guy where you say just do it, and he's going to get it done. And we were able to generate over 360 leads for him on Facebook, and because of that, he was able to hire 2 techs and an installer. He's on track to break $1 million this year. And so this is the proof. This is what his ad account looks like. So you can see 327 leads, and he spent about $6,600, and he's getting an average lead cost of $20.20. So wouldn't mind getting 300 leads for that. Yeah. Like I said, he's the kind of guy who takes action. He's a high bias action. He gets it done, and he was nervous about being on camera, but he trusted us, and we're able to do it. Oh, there we go. Okay, we do the ads in here. So this is the first one. I'm going to get into it a little bit later, but pretty much anytime you run an ad or a bunch of ads, it's an 80-20. 20% of your ads are going to give you 80% of the leads. And so this is his first ad that was getting him leads at $8.64. He got 69 out of them.
Does anyone else hate wasting money on repairs that never last? Here's the alternative. Replacing a cracked or stained slab can cost 2 to 3 times more than coating. With Endure, you can get the same fresh look and lasting protection for a fraction of the price. And it actually adds value to your home. It's more than an upgrade. It's a smart investment that protects your concrete for decades. Why waste money repouring when you can seal, protect, and enhance the floor you already have? Get your free estimate today and see how easy it is to transform your floor.
So not like a super polished guy, right? He's not like a YouTuber. He's on camera all the time. It's just him literally in his garage with a stand and a camera. It's his cell phone. And he was able to produce 99 leads with this one at $10 a lead. So who feels like this is something that could be manageable? You can get on camera and technically produce one of these. So once you start to see the concepts behind this, you realize like it's nothing like that crazy. Just how we interact with people and how we reach them is really what sets that apart. So I'm going to go over 3 key concepts with you of what underpins these ads that make them work. So the first one is called the buyer's pyramid. Has anyone seen this before? I didn't make this up. This is out there, but basically, yeah, you understand. In any market, it could be iPhones, it could be concrete coating, it could be electrical panels. It doesn't matter. Any market has this same distribution. And at the top, these are your Google leads. These are people who are calling you. They've already decided that they want to get the job done. It's just a matter of who's going to do it. Below that is people who are open to buying. They may or may not even realize they have a problem, that they do have the problem, but they don't know it yet, that they could be persuaded into buying. You can kind of nudge them along into that 3% corridor. And then the rest of the people aren't really your market right now. They're just, to one degree or another, they're not ready to buy. But what happens is all the competition is at the top on that 3%. Everybody's going after the same 3% of leads. And versus if you can go down to that 7%, not only is it twice as big as the number of people who are in there, but there's less than half the competition. And so what happens a lot of times with these Facebook leads is they're just scrolling. They're not going on Google and trying to find a contractor. They're just going about their day, and you're getting in front of them and showing them, hey, did you know you have this problem? Did you know that, are you getting cracks in your driveway or in your garage floor? Is it dusty? Is it getting on your stuff? And the whole idea is to get them to realize that and think, oh yeah, I do have that. Maybe I should check this out. And so this is the buyer's pyramid, kind of a breakdown. It actually segues into concept 2, and that is the 5 stages of awareness. So we don't have to go too deep into all of these, but basically people go from being not aware at all the way to very aware. And like that's the person who says concrete coater near me, and they're calling you because they want to buy it today. And so the difference between the Facebook ads versus the Google is people like your LSA or your SEO or your Google My Business leads. Those are people who already decided they want to do it. They want to do it right now. They're in that 3%. Whereas with Facebook, they're in that 7% of people who are open to buying, and we need to nudge them along the way. And so if we can call out problems that they're experiencing, maybe that they have stains on their concrete, and we're going to fix that, then you can kind of nudge them into being ready to buy. But it's not the same timeline. So it's going to take them a little bit longer to get there, but I'm going to show you how we structure the ads so we can show them one ad after the next and get them ready to buy. So hopefully that makes sense for you guys. Concept 3 is all about how we actually make the ads, because you could do a lot of work if you're doing the ads improperly and recording them one at a time. What we do instead is we spend all of our effort on the first 2 to 5 seconds. Does anyone want to take a guess why? Attention span, exactly. Because if they don't make it past that, then the rest of the ad might as well not exist. It's like you did all this work and it's for nothing if the first 2 seconds doesn't hit. So what we do is we put all of our effort into that first 2 seconds, and we create 10 to 20 versions of the first 2 to 5 seconds, and we just test them. And every time, like I said, 2 out of the 10 are going to give you 80% of the leads. We cut all the losers, we put all the money on the winners, and that's how you get the 2 ads that you saw for him. And so if we didn't do it that way, you would have to record the ad meat or the body and like the whole rest of the ad. You have to do 10 of those to get the 10 variations. But if you do it this way, they all seamlessly segment into the body, and then you get to test all the different hooks at the top. So this is the other strategy we did that. So you probably didn't even notice that the second part of the ad is like chopped off and not actually filmed at the same time. It sounded like you did one take, so we just spliced it in. And so this gives you way more shots on goal to find the ads that actually work. Sometimes you feel like an ad is going to be good, but I don't know if anyone's ever done like content or like had a viral video. Like you don't really know which ones are going to take off. So the only thing to do is just make a bunch of them, and we know that if we do enough volume, one of them's going to take off. So that's why we do it this way. And so hopefully you're starting to see that like this is like not like rocket science. It's pretty simple. It doesn't mean it's easy, but it's pretty simple, and it's definitely something that everyone in this room can accomplish. And so here's what the script looks like. And I think, again, we're going to have a session. We're actually going to get these exact scripts that we use for him, and you'll be able to read through it and use it for yourself. And so as you see, it's broken out. You got the hooks at the top. Those are that 2 to 5 seconds you're going to say, the opening line to grab their attention. And then all 5 of those hooks seamlessly transition into the next piece, which is the ad meat or the body. So you do 5 versions of the one, and then all go into one version of the next one. So you're getting 5 times the ads for 1/5 of the effort. And so they're all segmented by themes, so we come up with different buying triggers, different things that bother people or problems, and then we have those flow into the same theme of the ad lead. And then you always want to end with a CTA, so that's just telling them what to do. Tap the banner below, fill out a 2-question form, and schedule your free estimate. And so that way they know exactly what's coming, they're going to follow the instructions, and they're going to get onto your calendar. So as far as recording, a couple different things with that. So you want to record on a newer phone. You don't have to do these on like a high-end digital camera. If you have one, it's bonus points. But any phone that's like 5 years older or newer will be just fine. Just make sure you use like the camera on the back, not on the front, like towards your face. If you know anything about lighting, that's a bonus point. But again, you saw he's just there in his garage, no big deal. It's not like he has any special lighting. And using a stand helps as well, because it'll stay there. The next thing is practicing the delivery. It's just like warming up for a run or going to the gym. You don't just want to go straight into the set, you want to warm up a little bit. So say your lines out loud, get familiar with them, and then you just need to get one good take. So sometimes I see people kind of get in their heads and they'll do like the same take like over and over and over again because they want to get it just perfect. But at the end of the day, 80% done is better than 99% not done. So like just like say it, get one decent take, and you can do multiple takes, because we only need one to work. So do a couple takes of each, we're always just going to talk to the best one, and then that's all we need to string together the video. Eye contact is another one, so you want to look into the camera as much as possible. I've had people put on some sunglasses and it'll still work, but it doesn't work as well. So as much as you can look into the camera. There is some software out there now that helps with that. It can kind of superimpose the eye contact, but it's still not as good as the real thing. Microphone is the next one. So they've done studies on this, and people will tolerate bad image quality, but they will not tolerate bad audio quality. So if it's windy or you're like 10 feet away, they can barely hear you, it's unusable, it's shot. So buy one of these. This lapel mic, it's $99 on Amazon, and it's just wireless. So you can't, all it does is just clips on magnetically to your shirt, and then there's a receiver on your phone, and that'll take care of it. 99 bucks is well worth it. You can use it for every video you do there. The next is filming in different settings. So you want to switch up the settings you do. Like I said, we do the problem awareness, where we talk about the symptoms and problems that they're experiencing and feeling. You want one location for that. The next one is the solution awareness. That's where we're talking about how it's easy to do. It'll be read out there in one day, and it's not a big hassle. You'll knock it all out. It might be cheaper than replacing the slab. All those things. You do that in a second location. And then the third one is where you talk about yourself and your company, the number of Google 5-star reviews you had, years in business, all that stuff. You do that at the third location. And the reason is these are going to be retargeting ads. So the people who watch the first ad are the people who get shown the second ad. If you do it the same location in all of them, they're going to think it's the exact same ad they already watched, and they're just going to scroll past. That's really our enemy. It's just, no, I'm not interested in scroll past. So if you switch up the locations, it looks like a new message, new ad, and they're more likely to watch it. And then the fifth one, what did I have here? As far as booking, so who here has run any kind of Facebook ads before? Anyone? And who here has had issues with the quality of the leads? Right? That seems to be always the issue. But it makes sense once you go back and you run it through the lens of the stages of awareness, doesn't it? Because those are people who are earlier in the buying cycle, they're not as aggressive. Like if you miss a inbound call from SEO, the customer is just going to call the next person. Whereas with these people, if you don't reach out to them quickly, they're just going to forget about it and go about their day because they haven't realized and built up the pain just yet. So the number one thing that we have to do for these leads is speed to lead. Let's take a poll real quick. So who here gets to their leads within a day? Okay. What about keep your hands up if you're under an hour. Okay. 20 minutes? Who are my rock stars who are 5 minutes? I love it. Let's give them a round of applause. It's not easy to do. So MIT did a study that was made famous in the Harvard Business Review, and they showed there was a 90% drop-off after 5 minutes for pickup rates. So you have 90% less chance of getting them on that call if you wait longer than 5 minutes. And so that's the number one piece, is get to them quickly. Because again, think about it, they're scrolling. Once their scrolling session is done, now they're back to work. Now we're in the car, like you've lost your opportunity. So if you jump on them immediately, that's how you get more of these leads booked. Another one that we have all of our CSRs do is double dial, because they realize that it's important. And so they might miss the first one. If you double dial, they'll think, okay, this must be something important. And that helps you tend to tick it up a little bit. Obviously, not nearly as much as the speed of reaching out, but it does help some. Follow-up attempts is the next one. For our electrical company that we have, we mandate 10 follow-up attempts for every lead. And people are like, that seems like you're spamming them and you're not stopping. But the analogy I would use is like, imagine that we were trying to schedule a call together. You don't know my calendar, I don't know yours. I'm just gonna guess 10 random times throughout the day. How many times is it gonna take me before you answer your phone? It's gonna take 10 attempts. You're busy and you got things to do. One of the times I'm just gonna get lucky and get you, but it's gonna take all 10 of those attempts. And so you won't believe how many times our CSRs tell us that on the 9th or 10th attempt, the person picks up and says, oh, thanks for following up, I've been meaning to get back to you. I was just busy, I've been out of town. But if you don't make the 10 attempts, then you're not gonna get that appointment booked. And so back to that same MIT study, they showed that if you got to 6 attempts, you would get almost to a 90% of booking someone. But then they showed people actually do, and they would call once or twice, and then it just fell off. And so these are the two most important things. And in fact, when I first start working with clients, I tell them, if you're not willing to do this, it's probably not going to work. We shouldn't move forward, because it's that important. Because we could give you thousands and thousands of leads, but if we only book 10% of them, then what's the point? Because that's going to come into your marketing cost is going to blow out of the water with how expensive it's going to be if you only get 1 out of 10. This is the piece that I would say, if you only take one thing from this session, take that. That speed the lead and follow-up attempts is how you really get people on the calendar. Like the fanciest ads, it doesn't matter if we can't book them on the calendar. Yeah. I know that you guys have good sales processes, so I'm not worried about that piece, but that's the missing link where it breaks down. As far as booking rates that you should be targeting, obviously, who loves a good referral or word of mouth, right? That's easy, that's a layup. 80% plus, no problem. But once you move into the cold traffic and ads, it's gonna dilute it down. But if you're not booking 40 or 50%, then it means there's probably a problem. And 9 times out of the 10, maybe 99 times out of 100, it's the first 200s there. It's missing. I have yet to talk to someone who said, hey, we're not able to book any of these leads, or the leads suck. And I check, and they didn't have one of those conditions. So super critical. The next piece I want to talk about is running the math for their front end. So does everyone here know what their cost per lead is? Who has a good handle on that? So this is basically whatever you spend in all of your marketing divided by the number of leads that you've got. If you're more advanced, you can break it down per channel. And you know, all right, I spent this much on Facebook, here's how many leads we got for Facebook, here's my cost per lead. Your booking rate, we just talked about, it's the number of leads that come in, or the number of ones that you booked divided by the number of ones that came in. And for our company, we shoot for 40 to 50%. If we're getting that, I'm not complaining to the CSRs. If it dips below that, then we have a conversation and say what's going on here. And we usually just falling off, not getting to the leads as fast. The cost per appointment is what I look at. Is like, that's your cost to get in the door. So the number of how much you've spent for your marketing divided by the number of appointments you got. That's how much it costs you to walk into someone's door, or the garage, or whatever, and actually do the estimate appointment. And then close rate, I think you guys know that one. If you do sales, that's how many of the sales you close versus the appointments you do. And then your customer acquisition cost is just the total amount that it costs you to get a customer. But this is where it gets interesting, is who knows what their average ticket is? You guys tracking it? The easiest way to do it is just to take your revenue for the year divided by the number of jobs you did. And that's going to show you what your average ticket is. It's important to know these things, because if you don't know how much you're making from customers, you don't know how much you can afford to spend to get them. And you're running blind. But what was really cool that I've learned more recent years is the average opportunity is actually your average ticket times your close rate. And the reason we do that is that tells you how much you make when you step into the door. So if you are, say you have an average ticket of $1,000 for easy math, and you have a 50% close rate, that means every time you walk in the door, you're making $500. Whether you got that particular sale or not, that the math is telling you make $500 every time you walk in the door. So then if we want to keep our marketing spend to 10%, which is usually pretty ideal, we want to keep it around 10%, means we're growing healthy. How much can we afford to spend to get in the door? If we make $500 when we get in the door, how much can we spend to get in the door? $50, right? So then we go back to our booking rate and say, okay, if we have a 50% booking rate, that means we got to keep our lead costs at $25, because we're only booking half of them, so it's going to double it. And so once you start to know the math at each of these stages, that's why the attribution and knowing your numbers is so critical, is it just becomes a math problem. So if you're getting leads for $18, you're like, awesome, I can do it, I'll just spend more, it's going to go up. But as long as I'm staying under $25, I'm solid. Because I know my average ticket, my close rate. And then if you're under any of these issues, all you do is just diagnose, okay, which one is broken. So a perfect example is when I was running Facebook ads for our electrical company, we were getting a good cost per lead, we were getting a good booking rate, but the ROI wasn't there. And when I looked into it, it was the close rate. It was the guys who were out there weren't selling the leads that we did for Facebook. So the people who are my partners came to me and said, let's get rid of Facebook, it's not making any money. I said, hold on a second, let's see where it's broken. And then once we diagnosed that, we were able to say, okay, it's the sales, let's work with them on this, help them with a few things, they could change the position here, and then it was able to actually be a good ROI for us. So if I hadn't known those numbers, we would just toss it out and say, oh, Facebook sucks, it doesn't work. To me, that's the lazy approach. You just say, oh, it doesn't work, versus, okay, why doesn't it work? Where doesn't it work? How do we fix it? And so, like, for instance, last month, I think we spent $3,800 on Facebook and got 46,000 in sales. And we would have missed that if we just said, oh, it doesn't work. And that, Facebook is the example, but it works for all of them. And so, just want to teach you guys this because that's how I think about marketing as someone who's been in this space for a long time. I just look at it as a math problem. It's how much can I get leads for? How much is it cost? What percentage of those can we book? What percentage of those turn into a sale? What can we afford to get leads for? And so once you have that, the whole thing is just a math problem you're checking on once a month. And so that's all I have for you guys today, but I'm happy to take some questions if you guys have them on something covered. Yes, go ahead.
Those 10 attempts that you're having your CSR do,
Yeah.
is that all the same day that the lead comes in?
That'd be a hell of a day, wouldn't it?
Well,
Yeah, great question. So if the lead comes in the morning, we do 3 in the first day, like morning, afternoon, maybe later, not evening, but later. And then we'll do 2 the next day, and then we'll do 1 a day until we tap out.
Got it.
So it's like front loaded, and then it will space out. And then after 10, we can say, okay, they're not interested.
Sure.
And if at any point at all they say, stop, we're not interested, then the lead's dead.
Are you like following up with a text at all during that process as well, or is it just a phone call?
We do text as well. Yeah, we're sending text and email and phone. The phone is the one in the books. Sometimes they'll respond to the text,
Sure.
or we'll call them and they'll say, hey, text me, and we'll get it going. But we want to get back to the phone call because that's where the booking happens.
Understood.
The text, they just don't look the same. They just fall off.